Well, hi there, everyone. It's getting to be soup season around here, and I've got a meal in a jar recipe for you today. It's for a sausage tortellini soup. I love this one because it's easy, it's delicious, and it's customizable. Now, this recipe it's kind of like a template, and you can make it yours by changing up the vegetables, including different proteins, and even customizing the sauces. Now you're going to need a package of that shelf-stable tortellini to make this. I found that in the packaged pasta section at Walmart. Just make a note of the best by date on that and keep it in mind if you're going to store this in your pantry. The recipe I'm showing you here is a brothy kind of tomato-based soup with a little bit of that beefy Espanol sauce added. Now you can change it up and make it creamy if you prefer. I'll talk more about that later. Now I am going to do an assembly line process because I want to make a quart-sized jar of this and a couple of, I ran out of pint-sized jars, so I'm going to use the 24-ounce jar. But those are basically going to be kind of like a half recipe. That one package of tortellini, that shelf-stable tortellini, that made all 3 of these jars. That's just one package. The measurements I'm giving you on the screen are going to be for the quart-sized jar. So if you're wanting to do pint size, you could just cut those amounts in half. Now I'm going to add some seasonings to this. I am going to add some red pepper flakes here. It's not going to make it too spicy. It's just going to give a little bit of background heat. And I also like to include some oregano and some basil. And if you're like me and you think that dried basil is bitter, then I suggest you try some freeze-dried basil because I think it's much better and I like the Lighthouse brand. Now I'm going to try and speed up some of this so you don't have to watch me just do the same thing over and over. But I did want to show you that this is how I usually do my assembly line processes. I just line up the jars and do all of the same ingredient in each jar. So I put the tomato sauce in there. If you want to, you can use tomato powder. If you do, I would include just maybe a teaspoon of sugar, some Italian seasoning, and some milk powder as well. I included some beefy Espanol sauce. You don't have to do that. If you want to make this a creamier soup, what I would do is instead of the Espanol, I would include some bechamel sauce, then add some heavy cream powder to this, maybe a 1/4 cup or so. Every once in a while you might shake down the jars and settle those ingredients. Now I'm adding some sausage crumbles and I did put those in the blender and I pulsed it to make the size of the sausage pieces smaller. I think it refreshes better and I like the mouthfeel a lot better. I'm including some garlic here. All right, and here come the vegetables. Now, this is what I was saying. This is totally customizable. You can put whatever vegetables you want. I'm including some butternut squash because I wanted to use up the rest of my can. I love zucchini in this recipe. It's really mild and great. I've got kale going in here. You could use spinach or broccoli, whatever you like. I'm putting tomatoes because I've got a tomato-based broth. And I'm also going to do onions and celery and carrots. And that's just what I usually put in like all of my soup, the mirepoix. But like I said, that's customizable. I also put the celery in the blender because my husband doesn't like celery. Well, my husband doesn't think he likes celery. So I put it in the blender and then it cooks up so nicely that he doesn't even realize it's in there, but I still get that flavor from it. So here are the jars that you could keep stored on your shelf. I've got a friend who's having surgery, so I'm going to take her one of those jars, and another friend who's feeling under the weather, so I'm going to take her the other jar. All right, now, when you're ready to make this, it's a super simple recipe. All you're going to do is add water. I'm actually going to make one of the smaller jars. That will fit in a pint-sized jar, the recipe that I did. So whatever size jar you make, you need to add just shy of 2 of those jars full of water. So if you're using a quart-sized jar, you'll fill it up once and not quite twice. If you're using a pint-sized jar, fill it up once and not quite twice. And that would be the correct amount of water for you. You'll just give it a good stir, Crank up the heat. Let's get it to a boil. You'll just want to stir it occasionally. You do have a little bit of Parmesan cheese in there, and there's pasta in there, so you just want to make sure it's not sticking. Once it comes to a boil, you can turn down your heat to probably a medium or so. You want to keep up the boil. So maybe, I think I ended up at a 4.5 out of 10 on my stove, and I just simmered it for about 20 minutes. In that amount of time, the carrots will be nice and tender. The rest of the veggies should be tender. And that tortellini, you actually don't want that al dente, okay? You want that nice and tender, good and cooked. So give it a taste, and you can adjust the seasonings at this point. I added just a bit of salt. Now, if you are wanting to add something like some fresh heavy cream, now's a good time to do it, just right before you serve it. And all I like to put on top of this is just a sprinkling of some more Parmesan cheese. I mean, you could add fresh basil, whatever you like, but that's it. How about that? I mean, it's really easy, right? It's really quick, it's really simple, and the soup is so full of flavor. It's really delicious. If you don't want to use the sausage crumbles, I think this would be great with some grilled chicken dices. Or you could use the ground beef instead of the sausage crumbles. Or you could do this without any of our proteins and just maybe add a can of some navy beans or cannellini beans towards the end of the cooking process. I think that would be great as well. These little shelf-stable tortellinis, they really are delicious. These that I bought, they're stuffed with cheese. And I did see that they had some stuffed with spinach and cheese as well. But yeah, this soup is really comforting. I like to serve this with maybe some crusty bread or a side salad. But it's just great. It's easy and yummy. I will include the full recipe in the description box below, as well as my shopping link in case you want to pick up any of these Thrive Life ingredients. Thrive Life is available in the USA and in Canada, and you order online, and then the groceries are shipped directly to your door. If you like having meals in a jar recipes handy, I have written a cookbook, and I will include my website in the description box below as well. It's thefreezedriedfoodie.com, and you can click on there and purchase a cookbook. It's an ebook with over 90 recipes for meals in jars. You can download the cookbook as many times as you like and print off any of the recipes you're interested in. Guys, thank you all so much for watching. I so appreciate you. Please like and comment if you enjoyed this video. Y'all have a blessed day, and until next time, y'all take care and keep thriving.